So this is really where this whole remedy starts. How we value our life. So is human wealth more important than personal wealth? Meaning, is it more important to be physically healthy? And I want to take you out of the world of chaos and into the world of order. If you can imagine this, you're not taking care of this 100 trillion cells that make up your body, and they're all agitated. How can you function if they're in that mode? So we put the high level value of life, humanity, and freedom, because that's what it really is. And contrast that to being burdened and enslaved. Contrast is the mother of clarity. And let the debate begin, because we really want to compete and show you the difference between being in bondage and being free and how that road might look. And this is so important. We want that debate to begin and let the consequences be very clear. And I think that they are clear today. You know, Winston Churchill once said that the greatest narcotic in the world was victory. And we all want victory over being enslaved. And how do we get there is most important. It is so critical for your future. So we're going to start with a kind of an easy one. How do you care about yourself? Is your body important to you? Your mind, your spirit, and your money? All of those begin to make up health. And people only change their behavior when they feel safe and when they're not in trepidation and concerned about making mistakes. And there is no one, not a single one, that could give counsel to how do you get there. And that's where I took charge of my life because, I have a bunch of kids and they have kids. So I really wanted to be, at that ripe old age of 50, I wanted to be part of their life. And the shape that I was in was not going to allow that. And I looked around and there was no one to help. So where do I look? And that's where this whole story takes place, is to the trauma of living in that life and the great threat of this to be a national situation. And I think we see it today. So we are social beings. We're self-regulation, supposedly, and we want to preserve, and we want the concentration. Those are just things that we really need. And experience this idea of trauma, because there is an enormous amount of chemistry that takes place in the brain under trauma. Plus there are hormonal issues, and it just gets to be such chaos. And what we want to do is absolutely come into play and level that out. Clean the brain, clean the body. Give you a brand new look at yourself. In the Hebrew, it's called a mitzrayim, or a new beginning. And to deal with anger, which leads to addictions. And those addictions are many: alcohol, gambling, pornography. Once that takes place, it is a long and hard journey. And anger seems to follow this little thing called abandonment. And so many of us feel like we have been abandoned. The loneliness and the insecurity and those things that seem to go with it is such a problem. And our presentation is kind of a simple one. A healthy person thrives in an environment that an unhealthy person cannot. And that's a scriptural thing, and it's a common sense approach, that if you are healthy, you can perform better longer. So it's that caring relationship about you have with your body. And if you begin to understand that you in fact have purpose, you begin to look at this thing entirely different. And you begin to not put things in it that will deter you from your goal. And that is so important for us to get to our children and our grandchildren, to where they are important. We've got to support that in all cases. And once your body and your mind, your finances, your spirit are important to you, you make better choices. And that is really the importance. And we want to do that with understanding that foods, good foods, will meet the needs that you're needing. And there's a group of psychiatrists, one's Dr. Van der Kolk, and he said psychiatrists say they are getting in the way with their medicine, pills, pharmaceutical. And if we can get over that and start say, look, everything that we're doing in America today is to repair functions that aren't working correctly. We are in the preventive issue, financial, physical, emotional, and spiritual. We're going to present to you a calm case to where you can take charge. That would be fun.